Before we get started, I just want to say a few things. It's crazy, like, what people can do. Literally, we just posted about this and decided to do this like 6 days ago. And there's so many people here to support the cause to end what they're doing in Asia. And so, I'm very thankful. And to the owner of this house that we just met a little while ago, thanks for opening your home up to us. It's very gracious. My wife who has to put up with me because I'm retarded. And the director of my foundation, she couldn't be here, but she's literally in China at our shelter right now, trying to get it ready for our project in Yulin. And so to her, we miss you, and I never say much, but I'm thankful that she's with us. And so this event is more about, when it comes to the dog meat trade, especially Yulin, there's so many groups that work against it, trying to fight to end it, but everybody's divided. There's all these egos, these big groups are trying to and so everything's so confusing. This event is more about unification, about answering questions, and about getting people involved who want to really see this end. And that is the purpose of this event. And it was supposed to be very informal. It was supposed to be outside, and then it started raining, and so forgive us for the tight space. But this is our panel. Thank you for Alec from my Stand With My Pack, who literally kind of did all this stuff. I was in Toronto with Toronto Kids City, and so I came back and I was like, wow, well, thank you. Taryn is our moderator. She's going to start things off and introduce the panelists. Each person will talk about the group, who they are, what they are specifically doing in Asia. Shannen will speak about a very important bill, HR 1406. And then I will talk about our foundation. We are currently in contact with the Yulin government, and I will express things that they have said, express things that the Chinese government has said as well, who is kind of separate from that. And we'll talk about, hopefully, what we can do to stop the madness. So, thank you, everybody.
So thank you so much for that, Mark, and thank you to each and every one of you who are here today. For those of you I haven't had the pleasure yet to meet, my name is Taryn, and I am going to be moderating, as Mark mentioned, the wonderful panel of activists who have gathered here, who we're all so grateful to be hearing from, to come up with some solutions and give insights into what's going on with Yulin and the greater cat and dog meat trade. And so, again, thank you for each and every one of you coming here today, and those of you who are tuning in, who weren't able to make it in person. Special thank you to all of you who flew in. I heard there's some people who are from out of state, so it's beautiful to have you here. And so, and I'm sorry, this is not in order, but I'm going to introduce each one of our panelists. And again, I apologize, it's not in order who's sitting where. Again, we were supposed to be outside and we're inside, so we're a little cramped. But we are honored to have Marc Ching, who all of you know from And we have Shannen Doherty, who's here with us. We have Aleksandra Schiffer, by Stand With My Pack. We have Shaun Monson. We have Otep Shamaya, by Stand With My Pack. Waldroup. We have Tami Cho Zussman. We have Tal Finney here. Kiana Kang of In Defense of Animals. And John Sessa, who has brought a Yulin survivor with him. So those are our wonderful panelists for today, and if I could just ask everyone, perhaps starting with furthest from me and working back this way, to introduce themselves and give everyone some insight into the scope of their work and their experiences with the issue that we're discussing today.
Hi, thanks for having me here. My name is Tami Cho Zussman. I'm a co-founder of Dogs Project. It's a acronym stands for Dogs of Violence Exposed. We are a 501c3 organization based in Los Angeles. Our primary focus right now is South Korean dog meat trade. So it's different from Yulin, and I'm honored to be invited to speak about South Korean dog meat trade. And our foundation is young, and it's fairly new, and it's a small organization in Los Angeles. However, we work with several Korean activists in Korea, and to rescue, advocate, and educate the Korean population in Korea. We do believe that change has to come from within, and we have so far facilitated rescue. We didn't do it in ourselves, but through our activists, we have rescued over 100 dogs and brought them here. We look forward to continuing doing our good work.
Hi, I'm Kiana Kang, and I'm with Defense of Animals. We've been working with the dog meat trade, specifically Korea, for over 16 years. And we've been making progress. I've started in December, and what I have brought to In Defense of Animals is also the knowledge of the Korean background and also the American mentality, being a Korean American. And what Tami could attest to is things are different there from the way we think of advertising and stuff like that. So what we think will work here will not work there. So I too am working with local activists and volunteer groups to see what would work best within the Korean people that, would make a difference and be most effective. And like she said, it has to come from the Korean people. We're a very nationalistic country, group of people. And we're here to support them and do whatever we can through the government, through local, through grassroots. And right now we're working with the government and projects to shut down slaughterhouses, working with local activists to shut down one in a few cities and here. But with what's going on with Korea right now with the new government about to happen, where we have hope and the activists have hope. So we think that change will come. It's not going to happen overnight, but it will happen. But it has to be done in phases. But we believe it will happen because most of the Koreans there don't want it. They want it to end. So, and also, we also tap into other Asian countries like China, which is the country that consumes the most. And we've been advocating through government and awareness and everything that we could do to get people involved as well, because we have to work together because we can't do it alone. Everyone has to be involved. The citizens of China, Korea, other countries, and the government. So we all have to work together to make a stand, to let people know and support the citizens of those countries.
Hi, my name is Otep Shamaya. You can probably tell by looking at me, I'm an extremely shy person. I'm a singer and a writer and a cultural arsonist. I tend to light a lot of fires through social media, which I think is probably our greatest weapon in fighting these kinds of things, because mainstream media won't cover it at all. That's true. I was telling people earlier that I was, MSNBC was broadcasting live at the Santa Monica Pier, so I ran down there with a giant Stop Yulin sign. I stood behind Chris Matthews. Because they can sit there and give the Trump podium 45 minutes of just empty airtime, but they won't give 1 second towards something that actually means something. So I don't let people get away with that. Awesome. I am honored to be on the board of advisors for Stand With My Pack, and I try my best to, I do polarize a lot of my audience in some ways, because a lot of people feel guilt about eating meat, and especially not wanting to see the horrors that happen in the dog meat trade, and a lot of it that doesn't bother me at all, because your comfort level as a human being matters very little to me compared to the comfort level of what these poor desperate creatures have to endure. So that's my job and my role and my oath and duty to, as a citizen on this planet, is to continue to fight for animal rights and to help do whatever I can to stop this terrible thing from happening. And
So my name is Aleksandra Schiffer, and I'm here for I Stand With My Pack. Originally, we founded this organization because we realized there is no unity in animal welfare movement. And we often came across so many no's from other organizations, and we realized to really come to any solution to any kind of problem, there has to be unity between people, between organizations, and there has to be information needs to be available. Oftentimes it's happened that organizations are keeping their information for themselves and they're not really open about it. If we are all open about information, and if we all give something that each one of us has something specific to add to this table and some talent to bring something that actually will push the movement further, I think that's the key, and that's why we're here, and that's what our organization stands for. We advocate for, we're lovers of all animals, so it's not just dogs or cats or rabbits. We love everybody, but specifically we started with Yulin because in my opinion, where we can make a connection if not with our best friends. So if we really make some step with this festival, and if we stop it, I think that will just be a ripple effect for all the other things that are coming on. So thank you all for being here. We really appreciate you all, and it's an honor actually to stand next to these pioneers of this movement and people that have been working so much and gave so much of their own life and privacy to save those that have no voice. So thank you all.
Hi, my name is Mark. I'm from Animal Hope and Wellness. First of all, I'd like to say that I'm vegan, and what that means is that while I'm an advocate for the dog meat trade and stopping what these people are doing, this type of intentional torture to an animal, I believe that everything matters, that all life deserves a chance. And so my foundation is very small, and I think sometimes people misrepresent who we are just by social media, and they think we're like this big, huge organization, like a humane society. Literally, up until last year, it was just me. It was just a guy who left his family because they're doing something someplace that's so crazy, you can't even believe it. Social media has been a gift to where it can take a concept or movement and expand it across cultures and borders. And in a small amount of time, we have grown in awareness to be this international presence. Last year, I added somebody to my foundation, Valerie Ayanola, who's not here today. She is kind of the backbone to my organization. I would say she's a little smarter than me. And so she kind of like, you know, keeps me grounded and says, hey man, don't get crazy now. Earlier this year, we formed a board. Shannen Doherty is now on our board with other great people who lend the presence to stopping what we do. Because we're so small, we depend a lot on volunteers who are here today. We're so lucky that people give their time to help animals. This panel is about what Alex says, is that all these groups have all these questions and all this information is hidden. A lot of the questions are with me. We're not a typical group to where Harry got adopted today and he's in a new family. It started off as just this guy writing about his experience, and that's who we still are. I go to Asia and I document through my own type of struggle. And I hope that that connects people to the horror that these animals face. And so people always have questions about what I do. And this is a panel for that. In addition to that is that we're so small and we cannot do this alone. We have to bridge the gap between egos and people and groups that all want the same thing. I want to introduce Shannen, who has been really a blessing in my life. She has struggled through things that I struggle through too, facing death, darkness, and she has come through it. She has used her, I don't know, you know, whatever it is to give to others. And after this introduction, she's going to speak about a very, very important bill and what she's doing, her and her brother, to bring it to light. And so, my friend Shannen Doherty.
Mark and I make each other cry on a regular basis. Very bad. I don't know what it's about. I'm married, and then his wife Linda just watches us and shakes her head. So I'm Shannen, and I would call myself an activist of compassion. I believe that we all need a lot more compassion than we currently have. I faced cancer, as some of you may be aware of, for the last 2 years. And I mean, I think I had a lot of compassion prior to that. I certainly had a deep sense of compassion for animals, but it put me on a whole different level. To the point where I think my family would laugh at me on occasion because I thought I was like an empath with animals. I could feel when a coyote was going to jump in front of me. Like, I mean, I literally felt like there's a coyote around the corner. And there was a coyote around the corner. So I may have gotten a little weird through this process. I am a newly appointed board member of the Actionable Foundation, which means the absolute world to me. I have been involved with other groups, and I have faced a lot of opposition, which is what Mark's sort of talking about, of egos, and no, we want the resources to stay within our community, our foundation, and really what we're all facing in this world is something that is, it's a big opposition. We need to be able to share resources and share funds, and that's why when they asked me, I was overjoyed. My brother and I are currently with Animal Wellness Foundation spearheading a bill that we will discuss shortly called HR 1406. It's certainly not our only bill, it's our entry. And behind it is many others that Mark, Valerie, myself, Linda, we all want to put forth. So I'm just here to try to spread awareness, love, compassion, and these are our best friends, and I can tell you that my best friend Bowie, my German Shepherd, I could not have gotten through cancer without her. She detected cancer before I did. She knew it. She cuddled right here. I had breast cancer on my right side, and she obsessively, obsessively did that to me until, awareness was mine at some point. And this dog, maybe when I was sick, she never comes over to bed, and I was home from chemo, and I was nauseous, and I couldn't eat food. Miss Bowie would climb up on that bed, and she would cuddle and just wrap herself around me and keep me warm and safe. So, they are our best friends, dogs and cats, and we need to, here in the United States, we have to stand for them. We have to have our own side of the street, because we can't preach to other countries unless we're doing the right thing. So that's what
Hi, I'm John Sessa. I'm from Stop Yulin Forever and the Vanderpump Dog Foundation. I got involved with the dog meat trade about 2 years ago when my partner, Lisa Vanderpump, started emailing me frantically about things that we could do and how can we change this and how can we make a difference. And I think we started off just kind of blindly running and seeing where we could go and seeing what we could do. And we started with a PSA and then a march, and then it kind of got bigger, and then we started a foundation. And now, we've gotten the resolution with a lot of other people and our documentary. So I think that it's really kind of been a journey the past 2 years for us, and just kind of figuring out our steps and figuring out what to do. And I'm really excited and happy that we have an opportunity like this with this panel, because I think that all of us are really impassioned and we have a lot of different irons in the pot, and it will be nice to kind of get on one page and see. I think that what others can bring, as far as Stop Yulin and the Vanderpump Dog Foundation, we have a platform with the Real Housewives and with Vanderpump Rules that they've allowed us to expose this a little bit and get into a lot of people's homes. And so with that awareness, I think that we can kind of follow up with a lot of different legislation and things that Marc's doing on the ground floor in Yulin. So getting everybody together, stripping the egos, and just letting everybody be one team and one community is probably the best thing that we can do. And I think that that's as horrific as everything, our trips have been, and my trips to Yulin and the trips to the slaughterhouses. I think it's changed me, and it's ruined me at the same time as it's brought us kind of this wonderful community that has changed my life for the better and for the worse. So I'm happy to have everybody here and working together as one team.
My name is Shaun Monson. I'm a documentary filmmaker, and a couple years ago I did a film called Earthlings, and then a film called I wanted to say something, Shannon, you made me think of it. About dogs is, my statistic may be off, but usually I'm a pretty good researcher, and I believe they can smell 6 times stronger than a human, which is why when you take them on a walk, they're so interested in it, because they can smell quite deep. So it's sniffing time. Walking time is sort of their sniffing time. They can detect changes in weather. They can detect a change in perspiration among people. They can smell if you're sick. They can smell if you're pregnant. And the reason they come sit silently beside you when you're sad is because they can smell your tears. And we've been their executioners, and not just them, but to a lot of beings. Like Marc, I'm also a vegan. It's a very funny thing, we feel deep connections to some beings, and then cultivate love and compassion and awareness about this being. Maybe the whales, or the dolphins, or the seals, or the dogs. But in the same breath, sometimes have an attitude of indifference or even aggression toward other beings, namely cows, chickens, and pigs, usually food items. And so there is a parallel, and when we're given flack in the West for condemning this practice, it is because they have a good argument. They have a very good argument. I know that it has a bit of a sting to it to consider that, but it's true that it's a separation based on form. It means it's a separation based on form, and that's why we had racism. That's also why we had sexism. That's why we had equal rights or civil rights. There's some separation, and until we can stop seeing the separation and just seeing, sort of beholding that life is multitudinous in the way it expresses itself, then we'll really truly have, I think, some unity. So it's just my 2 cents.
Can you hear me? Hi, I'm Julie. And I'm really honored to be part of this panel. What I do is mostly on social media, on Facebook. I'm an editor on a bunch of different groups that help raise awareness and help to promote the hopeful passage of House Resolution 30. So I'm on Dogs and Cats Off the Menu and a group called Activists for HR 1406 and several other groups. And what we do is we try to, I keep track of all of the numbers of how far we've gotten to pass this resolution and how far we need to go. And we promote calls to action to encourage people to reach out to their representatives to ask for support of this resolution to hopefully get it passed at some point. So that's mostly what I do, and I'm really honored to be here. I first saw Marc's posts, probably around a year ago, and they're so sad and they were so heartbreaking, and I would comment on his posts and say, what do we do? How do we fix it? What do you want us to do? Like, lead the way. And I finally realized that Marc doesn't have the answers. He doesn't know how to end it. He's just doing all he can to try to raise awareness about it. And so I started to think about what I could possibly do to help. Like, what can I bring to it? And so I started promoting everybody's events around the world. When I saw there was a dog meat trade protest, I would share it and try to get it as big and as attended as possible, because that's what's good for the cause. So that's sort of how I got into it. And I believe everyone in this room has something they can do to help end this. Everyone's got different talents, everyone's got different skills, and everybody can do something, bring something different to the table to contribute and to help this pass. So.
My name's Tal Finney, and I'm on the council till I stand with my pen. And I'm former, I worked at pretty up in the government. I was a senior advisor and director of policy to the governor. I worked in the Congress. I was the chief deputy controller of the state. And at the time, our trade and commerce secretary was Japanese American, so they used me to go to China. And I've worked in the past 2 premiers and the governments on a number of issues, including development law, agriculture, commerce, technology, life sciences, etc. And I have to tell you, I watched some of the footage that you can just go onto the internet and see, and I could not believe my eyes, actually. I did a lot of work in human rights advocacy with Amnesty International when I was younger, and in the government and since, and I just couldn't believe it, actually. It was just outrageous to me, and the American mindset with canines, as opposed to, like they were saying, they have a point about the cows and how we treat the livestock here, the domestic animal life here, and I've seen all kinds of, that's intense stuff. And I've seen a lot of videos now where there's these farms that don't just do organic work, but they make happy livestock, pigs and cows, and it's amazing how they play together and everything. It's just absolutely amazing. And so I'm here to stand with my pack, and as directed by my boss, Ms. Alex, and the rest of the girls, to help you dissect and go after the laws of the People's Republic of China. And while I have a good deal of experience at the federal, state, and local level here in America, I can be very helpful, I believe, to the cause that we have with the U.S. Congress. We also could do a lot there in their country if we can find advocates who are supportive of this process. There are federal or national laws that address this. There are province-level laws, territorial laws, and there are local laws. But it's tricky. Marc can speak to some of this. He's getting to some of this as well. And you'd be surprised, they actually have loopholes in them that Americans love to take advantage. We love the law here in America. We have more lawyers and more insurance companies than the rest of the world combined. Well, why not? Let's use it to help this cause. And so what I'll talk about is some of the things that we can do.
So thank you very much to all our panelists for that amazing introduction. And so to get into questions that we are going to open up a discussion with, then we will open up questions to people in our audience and also people who are streaming in. If you feel like you have anything that hasn't been touched upon or any insights you'd like to share. Because again, as Julie mentioned, I don't think any of us sitting here have a solution. Yulin is going to be happening again unless someone comes up with something quickly in the next few weeks, but hopefully by this time next year or the following year, we will come up with something collectively and collaboratively to put an end to this. And so to begin the discussion, and I know everyone has different insights and different areas of expertise, but to get this going, is there anything that you all feel, because the point of us gathering together today is to work collaboratively and share insights, do you think there's anything specifically that can be done now within our collective groups and as individuals to help put a stop to this? And how can we work together to make that happen? Mark?
So I wanna say a few things. A lot of the people here are activists, like really like active people in the movement to stop the dog and cat meat trade, specifically the Yulin Dog Meat Festival. For people who don't know, there are two legislative pieces that are very important. One is done by our foundation, HR 1406, which Shannen will speak on. The next was proposed by Congressman Hastings, House Res 30. Julie's going to talk about what that means. And John Sessa had mentioned to me on the phone that their group is doing something about it. And that's what we mean about information, is because when he told me this, I didn't know. But the teaming of groups, we can be so much more strong and persuasive to end this. My group, Animal Hope and Wellness, which is literally like lives in my head, we're so lucky because in such a short time we've been able to do so much. And after they talk about those two things, I'm going to talk to you about what the Yulin government has told me, what they have told our group, what they are saying. I will talk to you about the Chinese government, what they have said as a blueprint to ban the trade, the possibilities. And so Julie had mentioned that nobody has a solution. And while that's true, that's not true in the sense that there are ways to stop it. We just need to unite. I'm sure people here attending have ideas as well, and so that's what this forum is about. It's not about me or anybody else. It's about who we are together in the movement. And so I'd like Shannen to talk about HR 1406, what that is, what her and her brother are doing to bring that to become a law. It will pass. It's not even a possibility, it will pass. And they are going to be the ones to pass it. And so,
So it is illegal to consume dog and cat in 44 states right here in the United States, which is unbelievable to me. You know, dogs and cats are the very fabric of this country. We send dogs into war zones. They now sometimes get vests and they go with our soldiers and they sniff bombs and they rescue children from burning buildings, and they are therapy dogs. They help the blind, they help the deaf. They go into hospitals and comfort people who are ill. Dogs and cats are us at this point. And yet, let me give you a few examples. In 2000, a man was pulled over, probably New Jersey, I think I remember it being, and was pulled over for speeding, and the cops checked in his trunk, and they found a cat who was alive and seasoned. He had paprika and oils, and he was seasoning this cat. And he explained to the police that the cat wouldn't stop meowing, and it was annoying, and so he was seasoning it and taking it home to kill it and cook it on his grill. The police confiscated the cat. The cat hopefully has gone on to a better owner. In 2003, a man had 150 dogs that he had been breeding for dog meat. He was going to kill them and then sell the meat. The dogs weren't taken away because of that. They were taken away because of unsanitary conditions. that's great that they were taken away, but it should be because it's illegal to eat dog and meat here in the United States. We talk about Yulin. I'm as horrified by it as all of you. I plan on going in June with Mark to witness the horror myself, because I am a big believer in that you have to have boots on the ground, and if you're an activist, you need to walk the walk and not talk it. So I will be going with Mark in June. However, I also am very aware that it's hard for us, as Shaun spoke about, to tell another country what's right and wrong when us here in this country do so many horrific things to our own animals. So HR 1406 is a bill to stop the consumption of dog and cat here in the United States. My brother Shannen Doherty is a consultant and a lobbyist. Regardless of your political affiliation, as I've stated many, many, many times, this is a bipartisan bill. He has close ties to Kevin McCarthy and Paul Ryan and a bunch of people in Congress, which regardless, again, Democrat or Republican, it only helps the bill go through. We, with Animal Hope and Wellness Foundation, will stop at absolutely nothing until this bill goes through. You have my brother Shaun goes to Washington in June representing us, and I believe that it's going to go through, and I think again we have to clean up our own side of the street, and once we do that, we will have our voice will mean so much more when we go overseas and ask them to please stop what they're doing. And by the way, when you're asking somebody to stop something that has been a part of their culture for so long, you have to offer alternatives. You cannot just say, stop guys, this is wrong. And what I love about everybody on this panel and Mark's work is that he's offering them alternatives, saying we will help provide you with another business. Stop the violence, stop the cruelty. We need to connect with the younger generation, and we need to educate, and again, alternatives. So support, donations, all of it means so much. So thank you guys for being here. That's all for me.
I guess we can talk. I can talk about a little bit what we're doing with Stop Yulin Forever and the Vanessa Dog Foundation. So we have kind of 3 different campaigns, I guess you would say, that we're working on. The major, and they're all kind of awareness based, rather than I think we do a lot more effective work on a broader level as far as awareness, and then having some more activists going in there. I know my trips to Yulin. I hate to be completely, but as a white male going there, I was kicked out every time I've gone. So I'm like, I know, yeah, so good luck. But no, so I think as being in this, we all kind of are finding our paths and how we can all help. And I think what I've learned, my path is kind of the legislation and the awareness aspect. I know when Lisa, we just got back from DC last week, and I know when Lisa goes to the Hill, they freak out over her. So we got 7 more people that signed on to the resolution. Yeah. We were in Politico, and that's like their page 6 for DC. So I'm meeting with on Monday and Tuesday some lobbyists that want to do some pro bono work for us. So that's really great. Yeah. So we're going to have. So as far as before the festival, we're kind of thinking about 3 different things. So the first one is The Road to Yulin and Beyond, which is our documentary, and it's basically the last 18 months of our journey. But it's also not just about us, it's more broad scoping about the dog meat trade and about Yulin specifically and how it started. But then it also kind of gives alternatives at the end as to what you can get involved and how you can get involved. So what we're doing is doing a private screening on the Hill for 150 to 200 people the 20th of June. And then that will be, we'll have hopefully 30 to 40 Congress people or people that are effective in legislation to be there. And then what we're trying to do, it's all about manifestation with me, so I'm trying to manifest this so hard and get all of the people that I know to work together, but on the 21st, bringing it to the floor. And so then that would be kind of the symbolic gesture, since that's when the festival starts. I did meet between a gala that we went to and then being on the Hill, we met with like 20 different Congress people. And they all said, unanimously said that if it goes to the House, then they think 100% will pass. So I do, I really go just the people that are supporting it and the more momentum that we're getting. So we're going to go back on the 20th and have this kind of gathering. And then the Venice Film Festival has preemptively picked up our documentary.
Yes.
So that's also kind of, you know, I can't plan because I'm not in production, but that's also when Lisa's filming all of her shows. So hopefully, you know, we could get that, and then it just, you know, we'll make more of a, like the Cove or Blackfish, and just kind of show, but then also with all of the legislative things that we're doing, I think that, not that anybody does anything right or wrong, but I think something that we've done right is that we've backed it up with legislation with both your domestic and international. So I think that that's a big push that we're doing on an awareness end. And then on the second aspect is the gathering on the 20th to hopefully do a final push. And then the third thing is we have, in September of 2015, Parliament actually debated on what to do, and they had kind of a Q&A, and basically they said it's great to go the compassion route and to show the torturistic things that are going on, but when all of these humanistic experiences are going on in Serbia and things like that, it kind of takes a second fiddle. So relating it to humans. So what we're doing is like a 75 to 100 page report. I'm like 3/4 of the way done with it. But it's basically about antimicrobial bacteria and rabies and all of the different harmful aspects that eating dog over a long-term period does to humans. So then we will present that to Parliament and present that to the European Union under the World Health Organization. So just kind of, you know, trying to hit it from every aspect: legislation, compassion. Okay, if you don't like any of those, then like it'll harm humans, you know. So just trying to do those three things. So that's what we have before the festival, and then after the festival, the Venice Film Festival, hopefully with the documentary. So. Any suggestions are welcome.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about House Resolution 30. What it is, it's a simple House resolution. It only needs to go through the House of Representatives. It's not a law. What it does, we can't make laws in other countries. It addresses China and the Yulin Dog Meat Festival and the dog meat trade in China. We're the United States, we cannot pass laws in other countries. What we can do is we can express an official opinion, and that's what House Resolution 30 does. It expresses the opinion that the United States condemns the Yulin Dog Meat Festival, and it urges, House resolutions also offer advice. So it urges China to establish anti-cruelty laws, including the clause that would outlaw the dog meat trade. So in order for that to pass, currently we have 151 co-sponsors, and co-sponsors are automatic yes votes. How many does it need to pass? 216. That's just over half of the House. So we have 151 automatic yes votes, and we need 216. We don't need 216 co-sponsors, we just need 216 yes votes. So I think if it were pulled to the House floor today for a vote, that it would absolutely pass, because we already have 151 yes votes, and then if, for example, if every Democrat voted yes, every remaining Democrat, it would have like 230 something yes votes, so it would pass. So in terms of the co-sponsor breakdown, about 26% of the co-sponsors are Republican and 74% are Democrat. Because we're in a Republican-dominated government right now, it would be very beneficial if we had more Republican co-sponsors, because the House leadership might respond better if and be more likely to pull it to the floor for a vote if we had a higher percentage of Republicans. So
So since your work in the government, Can you post on your sites which ones you already have agreement from and which ones you
Oh,
do
yes.
not?
It's
So
in
people,
all of our
because we're
groups.
from all over California, so
Yep.
we can petition them?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. If you don't know who your own House representative is, you can go to house.gov and enter your zip code and find out who your representative is. And
No, but who are you seeking to get the support from?
absolutely, yeah. We have websites and we have Facebook groups. You can go to.
See the website and your Facebook group so they know.
So we have Pass HRIS 30 as a group. There's also another group called Citizen Lobbyists for HRIS 30, and they post calls to action to reach out to all of these different representatives who we're trying to get to sign on as co-sponsors. And even if they don't agree to co-sponsor it, if you contact your representative and say, I want you to vote yes on this legislation, House Resolution 30, at least when it goes to the floor, they might take your opinion into consideration and might be more likely to vote yes.
Julie, how do we get it on the floor? That's the problem.
So we've had some, how we get it on the floor, what it basically comes down to is the leadership of the House, which is Paul Ryan and Kevin McCarthy. They have to agree to pull it to the floor for a vote. If they don't ever pull it to the floor for a vote, nothing will happen and it will die at the end of 2018.
I'm going to interrupt for 1 second because I saw a lot of people go, oh boy, Republicans, no chance there. But my experience with Mark, just being in Washington, was a little bit different, and it's the fact that a lot of the lobbyists that social groups use are Democratic lobbyists. So they only go to the Democrats. And what we experienced, interestingly enough, was that a good majority of the Republicans absolutely had no idea. We were taken literally by the hand by Kevin McCarthy. We were in the cloakroom. They were about to go vote on something that I won't talk about, and he was basically out there sort of lobbying for HR 1406. Brought every single Republican congressman out to us in the cloakroom and talked about the bill and what it stood for, and was like, I'm horrified that you can do this here in the United States, guys. Let's get behind this. So that was Kevin McCarthy. And he brought Paul Ryan out to talk about it as well. So, I strongly urge all of us on this panel and all of you listening, I do not think that any of this becomes political about Democrats versus Republicans. I think we all need to stay very neutral here because we just want these bills to pass. Yeah. And therefore, we need to go to whoever we need to go to, regardless of their
I want to say I had a very similar, we met with Bob Dole and Ted Buchanan, and so now they're kind of pushing it into Kevin's face as well. So I think with you guys hitting it, us hitting it, and he obviously knows that this is a strong situation, obviously, and it's time sensitive. So it is really bipartisan, and I think that every Republican that we've gone to has said, I didn't even know about this. So I think that's something that we're going to mention tomorrow with the lobbyists that come in, is just trying to hit both sides of the fence.
That's exactly right, because we had a lobbyist prior when we first went, and sort of the only meetings they had were with Democrats. And the big thing is, yes, majority is Republicans at the moment, so we got to get to them somehow. And I called my brother, and I remember our lobbyist looked at us and said, oh, no, nobody can get to Kevin, it's crazy right now. And my brother goes, give me 5 minutes. And
love him already.
Yeah, right? And in the middle, basically, I forgive him for ever beating up on me. He could do it all over again. But 5 minutes later, in the middle of a press conference, all of us together, I get this phone call and I don't answer it. And my brother texts me, he goes, I don't care what you're in the middle of doing, get up and go answer your phone. And so I did, I got up, and it was Kevin McCarthy. And he was like, can you come in at 4 today? And I said, absolutely. Yes, sir. And we went. And again, what we experienced was sort of an overwhelming amount of shock and surprise that 44 states can still consume dog and meat. We talked about 30. So I think that it's about educating and not judging, something that Shaun, you touched on earlier, which is sexism, racism. judgment, all of that, we're all guilty of it on a regular basis. I have people constantly ask me what my political affiliation is. I'm like, it's none of your business. Because it's not about that. It is, we're all here trying to do something good. And I don't care where you're from, I don't care what your belief is, we're all here trying to obtain the same goal. So we need to focus on that and not politics for a minute.
Have you guys done research on who has dogs as pets in the Congress? I mean, this is a huge thing. President after president, who their dog was.
Right.
That would be enormously. Having worked there with the lobbyists,
You're right.
congressional leaders on both sides for years, I'm telling you, when it comes to their dogs,
They
you
love
strike
their
a chord. And the videos I saw online, I mean, Mark, you are really to be commended for the work you do. It's amazing, really. Anyway, the videos I've seen are so severe, and I'm telling you, having worked there, the Senate side, the House side, it will blow their minds. It will blow their minds. And these are people who are dog lovers, almost every one of them.
Yeah.
So that's what we should look at too.
So we have an audience question. What is?
Yeah, my name's Karen Gifford. Hi, everybody. I had that exact same idea, actually it was months ago. I did some research and I looked online and I went, wait a minute, how many presidents have had dogs? And there were 41 presidents, and then a lot of them have had multiple dogs. So my idea was to do like a little film clip that we could present as a lobbyist that would have the names of the dogs and the presidents, and they would say, they're watching from heaven. These dogs are passed away. This is what we stand for. Like, what president would not want to protect his dog? It's like a no-brainer. We could use that like as a way to get in the door. Like,
First president not have any animals in the White House.
Well, there's a lot of congressmen.
Okay, so unless anyone else has anything to contribute to that point, the next point of discussion, or the next question that we would like to present is, other than I think some of the panelists have touched upon this point of there being cultural sensitivity of going into other countries and not appearing ethnocentric, and saying, hey, you have X amount of years of history with this and this is your culture, stop. And then Shannen mentioned we need to present an alternative to what livelihood they're creating through this, and instead of saying we're taking this away, here's an alternative. But it would be interesting to find out from the panelists what the largest obstacles to stop the dog and cat meat trade, specifically Yulin, would be surrounding that issue.
Just because I'm a big mouth, I just want to start talking. So I want to talk about what's happening out there. I am an on-the-ground activist. I don't even consider myself an activist, first of all, because, what does that even mean? More importantly, I consider myself a human being who sees something and says, what the hell are they doing? 2015, I saw the Yulin Dog Meat Festival. I first learned about it then on Facebook, and I saw these pictures, and I actually thought it was fake. I said, who in the world can be doing something like that? That's gotta be fake. I'm one of those guys who thinks the media blows everything out of proportion, and it's like, and so September 2015, I left, and I went out there to see. No words can put into a sentence exactly what they're doing. A lot of people have questions about our group. I'm like this guy who doesn't talk much to other people, but I go into these places, and I go undercover. I go as a dog meat buyer, because one day somebody told me that would be a good idea, and they were actually right. As a dog meat buyer, you get to see exactly what they're doing. I go when they're working, when they're slaughtering the dogs. In my foray into Asia, on my 12 trips, I've been to hundreds of slaughterhouses. Every country is different. The amount of violence, differs from region to region. But it's some of the worst things you will ever see, ever on earth. On my page, Animal Hope and Wellness, I document what they're doing. And the things I post, people think it's graphic and they say these things. But that's 10% of what I see because I shield the public from the violence, and I try to use something that I think is tasteful enough to grab their attention and to show them this is why we need to stop it. We're lucky because in such a small time, we've grown so much that the government in these countries know who we are. We are currently in contact with the Cambodian government, who does the ultimate worst things to dogs on earth. We're in contact with the Korean government and in contact with the Chinese government. In China, they have a Yulin Dog Meat Festival that starts this year early in the teens, and the day of the festival is actually the 21st. I will be out there again, stopping fucking trucks from bringing dogs into the city. There's something called the Yulin campaign that I started in my head a few months ago. Like John said, I tried to think about how we can hit this from every angle. Like I mentioned, we've been so lucky that we've been able to communicate with the Chinese government. In February of this year, I met with them for the first time, the actual Yulin government. We take a different approach from normal activists where everybody's all mad and things, and understand that it's a touchy subject and people are upset. And everything that we do, compassion is our primary principle. When I speak with these slaughterers, we have closed actual slaughter businesses where they hang, cut the feet off of dogs and torture them, close them to give them new opportunities at coffee shops and noodle shops, vegan restaurants, well, vegetarian too. And so it's always about considering who they are, what they're doing, the culture they come from. And so here at our foundation, we center on compassion more than everything. In speaking about that, we have come so far that the Chinese government is in communication with us personally. I just spoke with them. They know we are here. I'm sure they're watching us live. We have been silent about many things. I document some of the worst torture methods that these people do in daily life out there. It's happening now to these animals. I always thought like one day I would meet with the government and I would show them this video of what they're doing. And that it will do what it has done to my life, destroy them. And I have showed them things that, unfortunately, they have not shed the same tears that I have. But in speaking with them, they have mentioned a few things. They have said, this is our culture, especially with the Yulin Dog Meat Festival. They said, this is not something that we are throwing. They use a good analogy, like with the Women's March that happened earlier this year. It was not a government-sanctioned event, but the people rose up to speak about the rights of human beings, and hundreds of thousands of people stormed to the street in our country to protest something. In this country, they're celebrating the torture of an animal, which is insane. And so they have been very vocal, and I will pass on their message that they are not the ones throwing this. They have said because of that, they have limited power, which I kind of don't get, but I'm just telling you what they said, limited power to stop it because it's the people's wish. And so for the Yulin campaign that we are doing, who knows what the promise will bring, but we've done a few things. One is we started a microchip program in China where we have gone and microchipped dogs. A free program where owners can safeguard their pets because they say 80% are stolen for the festival. We have asked the government for permission to stop trucks at checkpoints coming into the city. So far, that is something that has been granted. We will we will scan these dogs for microchips, and if dogs are stolen, we will be able to reunite them with the families, confiscate trucks, and reroute them to Animal Hope and Wellness partner shelters and groups. Valerie is out there right now in our own shelter, which we've gotten donated by Suki Su's family, who actually followed the movement and watched me last year in Asia, in Yulin specifically, and said, I'm going to quit my job and go help this crazy guy. So she literally is Animal Hope and Wellness China. They are getting our shelter ready for the thousands of dogs we assume that we will have to rescue from shutdown trucks. Another thing is, we've spoken with the Hunan government, which is a large, I think it's the 4th largest city in China with millions and millions and millions of people. They torture animals here. I went to a meat market and I saw them breaking the leg of a donkey in front of everybody and scooping out something in its foot to use as medicine. And so these things are happening all over Asia. There are no animal rights laws there to protect animals, but they said in order to stop the dog meat trade, you have to change the sentiment of the people. They think this type of meat is healthy. They think that if they torture the animal, that it makes the meat softer. But also in Asia, they believe that if this animal endures an enormous amount of pain, just like in the olden days when Vikings would raid and fight each other, the chief Viking would eat the heart of its other leader, and that would bring strength into you. And so they believe things like that, which is totally just insane. And so we started an education program, and they believe education is the key centerpiece to ending the dog meat trade in China. Just as in here, education is key in things with other animals, farm animals, that Shaun and other people tirelessly do vigils for, to fight for the rights of all animals. The Chinese government also said they will allow our shelter to be an actual Chinese-sanctioned government shelter that we are licensing, and we'll have the license for this month. From then, they will be starting disease and quarantine programs. We have spoken with the quarantine department to document these sicknesses and these illnesses that these dogs have. There's a virus that we just learned about that has decimated so many of our own dogs called Babiosa, which is a tick-borne virus that can infect people and cause autoimmune disorders, and people can die from it. In February, we rescued 300-something dogs off of a truck, rerouted it to our shelter, and have done disease protocols to start documenting these things. With this documentation, they said they planned, the Hunan government, with their help and our help, to do a media campaign to bring an end to the dog meat trade. And so there's hope. What that means is that the own government, and China is a centralized government, and so it's not like our government. It's very different, but still yet these provinces have autonomy to a certain degree, and the Hunan government has spoken out with us and said, hey, we'll help you guys, because we think that should be happening too. Once we have the data, they will do a media campaign with us to push and try to make the Hunan province, which is a multi-million-dollar sector, a multi-million person sector, to be the first dog meat-free province in China. While that is a small victory, one province dog meat-free, it's a big victory because it sends a message to all of China. Hey, if one province can do it, and we're not doing it because we want to disrespect a culture and where people eat things here and they're eating that there, and they do have the right to do that. It's the torture. What they're doing to these dogs, that has to be illegal. And how long for Yulin would be shutting down these trucks? And we need help. We need partners to align with us to take dogs because we cannot rescue thousands of dogs alone. Why shut down trucks going into the festival is because, first of all, we're getting permission to, and you always have to think of something different. Last year I went into Yulin itself, and we temporarily closed these slaughterhouses, and we rescued over 1,000 dogs. All that did was bring awareness to the issue. A lot of the dogs have new homes. Some dogs died. This year, we always try to learn and be better, be ahead of the curve, and do something different. And so we are trying to change it here, like Shannen says. You can't tell another country what to do unless you do it first. The large obstacles to stopping the dog meat trade is education. But it's also understanding the culture of Asian people. I'm Asian. You know, on my feed, I see the most racist comments in the world, and I don't really care about that stuff because it doesn't affect me. But just because you're doing something crazy, it doesn't mean that people are bad. It means that they're uneducated. And so we have to start these education programs out there, just like we have to bring more animals into our own schools. And so we are starting a volunteer program in Asia where Americans can come help the dogs that we rescue off of these trucks and from slaughterhouses that are missing legs that have been hung. Take them into schools and express who we are and why these animals matter. Another thing that is very important in stopping the dog meat trade, especially Yulin, is trying to work with them and not against them. And so a lot of people have questioned, why hasn't Marc been more vocal on Res 30? It's only because they have asked me not to slander their government, and so I've been trying to do my best to work with them and not necessarily against them. Just for the record, I'm in huge support of the resolution. I'm in support of anything that puts pressure on a country doing such things. And so Julie mentioned ways they can pass here. This panel is really about you. You guys got to be smarter than me. I'm not that smart. And so while we've done so much in Asia, a microchip program to show ownership, while we're going to be stopping trucks so they can see how many dogs have been stolen, while we've started an education program in this country, while we are working with the government to find solutions, there has to be more we can do. And so soon we will open up to Q&A, and if people have suggestions, we'd like to hear it. Two things. One is I'd like to give I Stand With My Pack a chance to speak about their viral campaigns. These things matter because so many people don't know what's going on. Just like me, I learned through it on Facebook, and without that story being shared or that picture, my head would be in the dark. I also want to give Shaun a chance to speak. Last year, before I went on this Yulin trip, which I'm going on again, we put together a PSA, and he was a director. We had Matt Damon, Maggie Q, Rooney, Kate Mara, Pamela Anderson, many activists who spoke with us, who united with us. Bearing witness is something that's so important, seeing what they're doing. I believe in the movement. I'm not just in an animal dog movement, I'm in the vegan movement. And it's not the shouting at somebody, it's not the hate that changes the heart of a person. It's seeing that act of violence for themselves. And I believe when you see that inside of you, something breaks. And it makes you more fucking human. And so I'd like him to speak about the importance of documenting everything that's happening on Earth, about not looking away, about being responsible. Before I pass the mic, I want to say this. People always ask, who's this guy? I'm just a normal person. I'm trying to like be okay with myself. We gotta fucking end it because I can't take back my life until it ends. When I leave my children on my last trip, when I left, my son and my daughter were crying and they're like, why do you have to leave again? They're 5 and 4 years old. On May 22nd, I leave again for my 13th trip. I'm going to Cambodia, where they cut off the legs of these dogs. I'm going to Mongolia. I'm going everywhere I feel we need to go because we have to be there to show truth. But also, it's changing and the government is noticing. The Cambodian government just spoke to me and said, if you can do certain things, we would think about banning these things. A single person and a very small group cannot do these things alone. All of the big organizations with the hundreds of millions of dollars, they're nowhere. They're not here, they're not trying to bring about the change. It's always the smallest groups in the social movements, in the women's rights movement, in the gay and lesbian movement, and any type of movement. It's the small groups that are making the change, that need the help. And so we are here because, man, I'm just one guy with 2 children and a wife, and a director and a small board. Without the help of the public, these dogs are going to be tortured, burned alive, hung, their feet will be cut off. I'm going to die out there. So, anyways, here's Alex.
Thank you, Mark.
I just want to say something to correct Mark on something. He said he's a normal guy. Can I? You're a hero, man. I found out about you on Instagram. I found out about you on Instagram, and I read some of the stuff that you wrote, and that you're just this normal guy. And sir, you are not a normal human being. You're a hero, and an absolute hero, not only to me, but to all these people here, and to millions of people who watch you. And I thank you so much for what you do and the sacrifice you do. I'm just a singer in a band that likes to cause a lot of trouble and stand up for animals. And it's truly an honor to sit with all you guys, because I think all you people are heroes, and this is really just a true honor. Sir, you are a hero. Please never forget that, ever.
It's very, very humble, and it's really, you took words out of my mouth. I wanted to say you are a hero, and you are a reason why I Stand With My Pack kind of exists as well, because we started with, our first project was Yulin, and we organized a protest in front of a Chinese consulate here in Los Angeles, and it was our way basically to kind of raise our voices and say and show what we're all about. But I just want to say, not only you are a hero, but your whole family is hero, because what kind of sacrifice you all have to do. And your children one day are going to look all of this and be proud of you as pioneer of the movement, a real who started this, all of this things. So I just wanted to say my humble experience here is, very humble comparing to all of you who spoke before me. And I actually learned about Yulin 2 years ago, and it was also due to crossing. I was educating myself on dog meat trade in Asia, and I came across the article about Yulin, and then I got more information about it, and I really, like all of you, I hated what I saw, and I cried for days, and I was depressed. And the words that Mark posts about are touching me on such a deep level. I survived the war, and I've seen some horrific things happening, not just animals, but also humans. And I simply cannot make a difference in between human and animal life because they all are people, they all are having their own different characters, their life stories. Just specifically Yulin bothers me a lot because it has a lot to do with humans as well, because everybody who participates in such a cruelty is being so morally damaged, and they're also forcing their children to watch this and think that it's normal, that's norm in this life, and this is how we should act towards animals and towards humans, and that's not the case. And like Marc said, the biggest obstacles here, what I saw are the movement not being united. People, not just in animal welfare movement, but across the governments and everybody in different sectors, agencies, I feel like everybody needs to sit down together and come to some common solution, which would be fair to everybody. And I also feel the education, when you have children growing up watching that kind of horror, cruelty, and thinking that is normal, it's bringing another generations of people that are prone to violence, want to maybe start wars or whatever it is. We want to teach our children to respect every form of life. And that's the only way we're going to be able to respect each other. And that's why Yulin is not only about dogs or cats, it's about everybody everywhere. It's a global thing, because if we manage to stop one cruelty happening there, we're going to manage to stop cruelty happening everywhere. And that's the key, education and also information. That's why I really want to thank Marc, because exposing all of that and just giving us, all of us, a chance to see it and participate in it and want to do something about it is huge. And then also exposing these people have been lied. This meat is not good for them. So therefore, they are deserve to know the truth. They need to have an option to make a decision, whether they're going to go, they're going to do this or they're going to do that. And I bet that most people in the world are good people, and they're definitely, if they've been given a choice, they would choose the right thing and good thing. So that's where I come from. So also, Senator Pack is doing a little thing as well. We're actually with a Compassion Project. We launched this campaign where we are asking everybody, of course, a lot of people think petitions don't work, and it's talking about other country. You know, we really can't change laws unless we change our own laws and unless they change their laws within. But we can voice our opinion, and therefore we made a petition that is not very pointing finger of like who's doing wrong. Is more of a like approach to what can be the solution to this problem, and therefore we ask the people to write about it and write in a kind manner, not you know, saying all of this, because we all have wrongdoing in all of this, and we're part of the system basically. But we are also asking everybody to post a picture with their PAC member or themselves if they don't have a PAC member. With there goes Friends Not Foods and the hashtags. You have everything over there, so we can make it viral and people around the world can see it. And as well, we're working on a little, not so little, well, video campaign that we're going to launch by the end of this month, and also to raise awareness for Yulin and the Doggy Festival.
Actually, I think too, I just wanted to say something when what you were talking about, Marc, and that I do think that there is a huge population that's in China that is actually supporting us, and I think that's something that we are forgetting. You know, every time I go over there, and it's very different from what Marc does, but I kind of, the couple times that I've been there, we've like surrounded a truck, and I had 250 Chinese people that were there with me and stayed for 3 weeks. You know, a lot of them quit their jobs and were on cots, and 70% almost of the Chinese statistically don't eat dog meat. So I think that we do have a large, you know, population there that do support us, and I think that there's a generational gap there, that with education we can make a huge difference. And I also I'm shocked to see how responsive governments are to an email. You know, I mean, the Filipino government right now, or the Philippine government right now, I just sent like 5 emails in a row and they responded. And it's like, you know, one person can, just like Marc said, he is one person that is very determined and very passionate. And I think that comes through either in a phone call or an email or, you know, a barrage of emails. And I think that we'd be shocked to see how much we can do as one person or as one email or as one group. So I just think it's worth, there's ears that are listening over there. And so I think that's kind of the big thing that I would say, you know, as far as hope.
Before Shaun speaks, I just want to say something. So we have 2 more things going on. One is like, we have a letter writing campaign, and we've already amassed thousands of letters from children all over the world. I mean, I have letters from Australia and England. And in June, I'm going to meet with the Guangxi governor. There's only 2 people in the world that can stop the Yulin Dog Festival. One is that person. His name is Wu Chen. And the second is the centralized government of China. Nobody else can. And so I'm meeting with him and taking the letters of these children. And so if you have children, you should have them write some and send it to us. You know, petitions nowadays are so different where people just like click a button on the internet. You know, when I spoke with the Yulin government, I had asked them, hey, you know, last year there was this petition and there was like 11 million people. And they laughed at me and they said like, what is that? You guys are pressing buttons. And like, they're right. You know, the passion or the real things have been taken out of it because of technology, and all that stuff to them seems meaningless. But we have this campaign to where children are speaking, and also on June 21st, I'm organizing an anti-Yulin in Yulin. It's still in its works. We're getting people to participate, but for people who do want to fly out, we are having, Shannon's going to be shutting down trucks with me, so it's about But we are holding the anti-Yulin in Yulin, bringing dog lovers from China and around the world to the festival, not to throw rocks in the face of these people when they might deserve it, but to show them a different side, the side that we believe in, that compassion for animals exists, that they mean something. And so that's what's happening there. After Shaun speaks, I'd like Kiana and their group is helping us to shut down this huge dog meat slaughterhouse section in Korea called Kupo Meat Market. It's been in existence for hundreds of years, and we're giving them a new chance at a new life. A huge project that, as a small group, we cannot do without people's help, and so she might speak about that. And then Tami is, I believe, working on a documentary as well. She might speak about that, but I know some people have some questions, and then Shaun can take it.
Well, I'll be quick. Just in terms of bearing witness, as Marc mentioned, and documenting these things. I know it's not a pleasant thing to look at, even if you don't go physically to one of these places. And some people don't even want to see it online. In fact, they're offended if they see it online. I always found that kind of curious about mankind, because we love violence. We love, our video games are spectacularly violent. Our movies are so violent. We pay money to go sit in the dark and watch pain. And but animal violence is completely unacceptable. And you know what? That is something that strikes me that actually speaks well of us. That we still wince at the suffering of animals, and it's like we don't want to tolerate it. Subsequently, this makes our jobs, both of our jobs, sometimes all of our jobs, different, because the only way to really show someone is to, a picture's worth 1,000 words, is just to show them an image, and they don't want to see it. But I've spent the last 15, 20 years of my life documenting all kinds of animal issues and human suffering issues. And I have great hope in mankind, great hope in humanity. Martin Luther King said that the arc of human history is long, but it bends toward justice. We do see things change. They move slow. Some of us might feel criminally slow, but they do seem to change. In fact, I have to leave a little early tonight because, and Mark knows this, we hold vigils here every Sunday night at Farmer John's, which is a pig slaughterhouse. This is not a dog and cat issue, but this is a pork issue now. So we're there every Sunday night from 7 to 10, and it's sort of a Tolstoy thing. You can't save the pigs. Tolstoy said, your inclination when you see something confronting is to step away, is to back away from it. But you do the opposite. You step closer. You step closer and you see if you can help. So we go and we give them water. The police are there. They stop the trucks. They give us 2 minutes. There's 200 pigs in a truck. They're 6 months old. They've never seen the light of day until the day they boarded that truck. They come either from Northern California, Central California, some out of Southern Utah or Iowa, and they're very, very thirsty. We can only approach one side of the truck, but there's a shift that'll happen in you if you come, and it doesn't matter if it's a dog or a cow or a chicken or a pig, it really doesn't matter, because if you are just this close to another being and you can look in their eyes, you can smell them, you can touch them, you can hear their sounds, and you're just going to go get in your car and drive home and sleep in your bed, and they're going to pass through that gate in a moment and be killed. It speaks to all of us. It speaks to all of us to step closer. And I always think about, this might sound a little bit spiritual maybe, but I think about all the problems in the world, like the ocean, and there's all these ships, and there's animal rights and environmental rights. Each one is a ship. Animal rights is a ship. Women's rights is a ship. War is a ship. Environmental issues, all these issues, we're all going to lift these heavy issues up in some way. But what I think would work better is if we just raise our level of consciousness, we just raise sea level, and every ship comes up at the same time. And we do that by not stepping away, by stepping closer to these issues and educating ourselves and sharing it. So with that, I have to leave because I'm going to get water for the pigs.
Thank you so much. Okay, excellent. So now we're opening up for the questions. Can we start here?
Well, I wanted to ask questions, and I wanted to say something.
Sure.
Repeat the question.
But I wanted,
Can you start with the question?
No, I wanted to ask one sort of question, but I want to say, first of all, it's your dog from you, right?
Yeah.
Not right. I just want everybody to know that. And then the other thing is, when I put a petition up, I signed so many petitions to the dog trade. Everyone I see, I don't even know if I signed again and again, but I'm just furiously signing away. But, and then, when you, if you go to a concert and you post a picture, a great video of yourself at a concert, you get like 200 likes. And then you post something really meaningful, like just sign this petition, it takes 5 seconds. And you get like 7 people. Or they go like button, and they go, no, don't like it. It takes 5 seconds. I'm just trying to figure out how to engage people more, just like pay attention. Just take the extra 10 seconds and just sign. They gotta do it a little quick. So I find that a little frustrating, of course. And then, so I was wondering if there's a way to try and engage people to just pay a little more attention and sign. And then the other thing I want to say is there a number, because, the Korean Olympics, I know there's been some talk about that too, putting pressure on Samsung, which we've talked about before, or LG Electronics, write letters. I don't know if there's a way to get people to, someone on the panel to give us where to go to put pressure on them, because, you're going to have people from all around the world at the Korean Festival, and Samsung and LG are 2 of the biggest, right, and they're Korean. So they need to be accountable, I believe.
Right. So those are excellent questions. Thank you very much for that. And just to repeat them for those of us who are viewing and not here, the question would be how to engage people into taking action, and then also how to best target large corporate groups to make them accountable with upcoming Olympic events.
I'd like to say something about that, about South Korean dog meat trade. As we all know that there is going to be an Olympics, Winter Olympics that's going to be held in Pyeongchang next year, February. which is less than 12 months away. And Pyeongchang is in Gangwon province, that's northeast of Seoul. And this province has already launched a strategic planning that in January of this year, it actually came out, it reported in the news, that they have already identified 40 Boshintang restaurants. This is called a dog meat soup. And they have identified 40 restaurants around the Pyeongchang Olympic areas, regions. And they have decided to compensate these Boshintang restaurants to take down their sign to deceive our eyes, the visitors, the foreign visitors' eyes, that they don't have dog meat. Now, the Korean government is extremely embarrassed about it because they're doing this to mitigate the negative image that this will reflect on South Korea. So therefore, now this is targeted us. They're targeting us to deceive foreigners that are outsiders that are coming into Korea to visit Korea and also watch the Olympics. And the Korean activists and the good citizens of Korea have actually reached out to us. And the Koreans are very reticent about talking, the Koreans are very reticent about talking about dog meat. And there is lack of awareness as well. That's part of the biggest obstacles in Korea, because there's a lack of awareness and the knowledge about the true scope of what's going on there. I'm going to give out a phone number to all of you. This is something that you could actually do. This is the phone call. It's the Olympic Committee in the Gangwon Provincial Office. It's a government agency. The number is 011. If you're calling from US, it's 011-8233-2. I'm going to repeat it one more time. 011. It's an international phone call, so it's going to cost, I don't know, $5. 011-8233-249-3729. And I would like all of us to call this number, and they will speak English. They may pretend they don't understand, but this will matter. Call them and let them know that we know what they're doing. And this is what the Korean activists and the citizens of Korea are asking us to do. So, thank you.
And sorry, just to repeat that number, it's 011-8233-2493-729. Thank you so much for that.
I just want to say, I just want to say something about our foundation and what we're doing in Korea. I know this is like a more Yulin thing, so we haven't really brought it up, but we have this whole campaign. We already have meetings lined up with those large companies. Part of bridging the gap is information, like Alex was saying, and so I'll make it a point to reach out to the other groups, but we are going to be meeting with large corporation heads to apply pressure. But also we have this animal hope and wellness thing where we're getting Asian American athletes to wear our logos and says our Compassion Project logo during the event, and it says "Stop the Torture." And what that does is it takes the issue of dog meat, if it's suppressed, still to the forefront on a jacket of an athlete. These things are still in the works. While a lot of people want to boycott the event, we feel that it is a chance to give the animals this huge voice. We are for it because the more people know, the better it is, and the faster things will change. And so, anyways, my bad.
Going back to what you were talking about, in defense of animals, there's an alert, a take action about the Boshintang restaurants of the sign changes because the activists there want international support. I've heard the organizations in Korea don't want our help, but yet all the citizens want our help. So there's this little, struggle going on. The citizens want the Korean citizens want the global awareness. They want international organizations to get involved to help them stop the dog meat trade because they want everyone to know what's going on. So I was informed about the Bolshintang restaurant signage, but they are gonna, $10,000 is right, but they're gonna charge the taxpayers to sign it, to change out the sign. So they wanna fool people, fool all the foreigners into thinking that they're not selling dog meat. So there's about 40, 41 restaurants that are gonna be affected. So we did the campaign in early February. We're gonna run it again after Yulin. Now, here's the thing, if they do that, what everyone has to do is boycott all meat restaurants because you will be supporting the dog meat trade if you go and eat beef soup or any kind of soup. And we have to be unified in this. We can't fight amongst each other. We can't attack each other on social media. Everyone has a different way of doing things. And each way is neither wrong or right, but wow, we could make an impact. We could touch on this, you could touch on that, you could touch on that, and together we'll be complete. And you could have opinions, just keep it off social media. Because we have to have a united front in order to fight. We have to be stronger. If everyone sees, and if the government and everyone sees how united we are, we could accomplish more things. And that's it.
So Tami and Kiana, what's the political process in Korea? I mean, I know it's not like China, I know it's more democratic. Are there groups trying to create laws and get their representatives to pass laws? I mean, you know, I see a beam of hope in South Korea, not necessarily China or Cambodia because of the way their government is, but you know, what's going on? How can we support those activists? How can we support those people that are allowed to come together?
Well, you know, not too long ago, Korea, they have a coalition, animal rights coalition, where over 20 organizations got together and held a rally. And that, I believe, is something we need in the U.S., to hold rallies together and to show a massive support against the dog meat trade, to show the Korean citizens we are behind you, because the Korean citizens want us to speak out. The government doesn't, but the citizens do. And they will listen to the citizens.
No, how can we encourage them to go about to write legislation to get, you know, a congressman, whatever they're called, their representative, you know, like Alfie Hastings, to back legislation?
They are doing that.
Yeah, you know what's interesting is, so Barbara is actually on our board as well. A problem with my foundation is my brain is that I don't really inform people a lot about what we do because I wake up in the morning and I just have an idea to do it. And so we're lucky because we're actually working with people in Korea to write mirror legislation to our bill currently at this moment. And so we are in talks with 9 congressmen in Korea to bring about a mirror bill of our HR 1406 that we will be using celebrities for. I know Shannon's going to participate and other big media activists. One thing about being a celebrity is that more people who are celebrities have to come forward and be a voice and be vocal. You know, I just talked to somebody about this, that I think society is decaying, that all these like large celebrities, they were fur and all this nonsense, but it's like, why would you do that? You have a chance to really change something. And so, you know, Shannon and Otep and everybody, my friend Tony Canal and all those standing for animal rights, speaking out, using their platform as public figures. Thank you. Shannon has to leave soon, so if people have questions for her, I'd like them to be able to ask her. And so, yeah, sure.
I'm just going to say one thing really quickly. I you know, being one of those celebrities, I get on my social media a lot like, oh, okay, so you're doing this, but what about this and this? And, you know, it's never enough for people.
Yeah.
And my response usually is like, well, I don't know, what are you doing?
Right.
You know, I don't think that because I, you know, took a TV show and, you know, God blessed me and gave me some fame in something that I want no fame in. I just want to work and I want to pay my bills and I want to do something I love. That doesn't mean that I have to carry the torch for everybody else. You know, we are all important, and I think Marc is the perfect example of that, is somebody who's one person and all the change. So you, right there, beautiful woman, you can do a lot. You know, you can do a lot. It's like every single person in this room, your voice means as much as my voice. And by the way, you want to talk about supporting celebrities? If you don't like that they're wearing their furs, stop watching their shows. It's really simple. Don't buy their music, don't watch their shows.
Lady Gaga.
You are the people. You guys decide what goes on in this world. You decide who's successful. You guys gave me a career. Nobody else did. It's the networks, like the fact that you like me. That's why I work. So if you all of a sudden don't like someone and you make it known, and not in a mean way, because I'm not down with that, but if you just stop supporting them and what they do, guess what? They're not going to be wearing those furs much longer. So that's up to you. All right, questions, because I'm going to go.
So, can we take one question that's Shannen specific from someone? Okay, in the gray shirt, please. And can we please, before we take your question, remind everyone, if you would like to rewatch this video or share it with friends, you can do so at Connect or the I Stand With My PAC page. Because it's important to share this information. Go ahead.
And wait, hold on, I'm so sorry. I just have one question. Do we have anybody on the ground that can take pictures and sort of addresses, if you will, of those restaurants that are changing their signs out so that we can start posting them?
That's what I'm going to be working on.
Okay,
yes.
great.
Yeah.
It's going to be tedious, but yes.
I know.
No, if we can change it.
I think it's so great that you're using your platform to get the message out here in America. Is there people in Korea or China that are celebrities that we can approach, and they can do the same thing that Matt Damon, make a video that's similar that would reach out to them and their culture? You're talking about athletes. What about, I don't know, actors or YouTube celebrities? I mean, people who have millions of followers that we can raise awareness on that side. I mean, I think that we're doing a great job here, but there.
Yeah. So, sorry, just to repeat that question for people that are viewing. So the question is, are there Asian celebrities or influencers who can speak out for this movement?
We're actually working on a PSA, just so you know. Like I said, I don't really tell people much, but we actually are, and we have a bunch of people jumping on. We're doing one Korean specific, with some K-pop stars, and we're going to bring other people in, and one China specific. I'm actually attending the Shanghai Film Festival. I've been invited by a number of large celebrities in China who have agreed to help us, and we actually might film it there. I don't know who's going to edit it in time because Yulin is only a couple days after, but yeah. So.
Excuse me, so the mediator asked specifically for a Shannon-centered question. And so I don't want to seem adversary, but I need some clarification because I don't know, I've heard that you mentioned that there's 44 states illegal, 44 states legal, and that's what 1406 is about.
Perhaps there's a miscommunication. It's 44 states that it is legal to consume dog and meat.
Is California one of those states? Because
No,
I
it's
thought,
not.
I hope not. Okay.
No, it's not. However, what's interesting is that each state has a different sort of way of wording that law, so there's quite a few loopholes. I believe, and don't quote me on this, and let's all look it up, but I believe Virginia actually has the toughest sort of wording on the law and protects dogs and cats the most.
So, and I'm not asking you, but if there's, as just a small citizen in America that is like very pro this animal movement, is there a forum or a source or a place that we can find out what states that we can petition to forward your 1406 to?
Yes, so you can actually just go online and literally Google is, the best thing in the world. And
HR 1406?
And just say, well, you can Google which 44 states it is that allows dog and cat consumption. HR 46, you can actually go on the Animal Hope and Wellness Foundation website soon, and we will have information up about it shortly. We're in the middle of sort of forming that into our website. That's apparently my job. You just told me? Got it? I'm on it. That's actually why I have to leave, because now as a board member, I've sat here hearing all this stuff we're doing, and I'm running home to go help again.
I need to ask you something.
Yes.
Sorry. So I've been in contact with my congressman and Congressman Easton's office.
Yes.
Regarding what's needed to pass the the resolution that ties into you. And first of all, the Republicans, well, like Paul Ryan is not calling anything unless it's backed by a majority of the Republicans. So basically, the congressmen want to stay in office. So basically, everyone needs to contact their own congressman, not just ask them to co-sponsor.
Correct.
So that's the first thing. And the thing is that also Congressman Hastings' office again reiterated that it's a Republican-backed Congress, and she said that you had met regarding HR 1406, and that if you're so inclined, would you please meet with them about the resolution?
Oh, that's sweet. I think that's probably Lolly or somebody in
Yeah,
Hastings' office who's repeating this info. Thank you so much for that, Lolly. I am focused on HR 1406.
Okay.
At this point in time, that is what I'm doing with Animal Hope and Wellness. I think John and Lisa and this our foundation, you know, we're all obviously behind it, but I think, again, my personal opinion is that I want to make sure that we're clean on our side of the street before I start hammering other people about what they do on their side of the street. That's just my personal opinion.
You know, politics is so weird. It's like, and I'm not in politics, but I think it's always about like favors, and so, you know, it's just, it's a fine line.
Baby steps too, you know, I mean, I think it's a big baby, like, for me, 1406 is really sort of like the entry into everything, because you're sort of introducing it and you're saying, yeah, you know, you've got, you know, Mr. McCarthy, you have a dog, and he does, and Paul Ryan, you know, these people, you know, Congressman Hastings, they're animal lovers in truth. So we're sort of pleading to them with this bill, and I think that it just for future bills, it makes it much easier if this passes for us to go in and start getting more stuff passed through. So for me, it's all about baby steps. I think I learned that in the 2-year journey of cancer, that, you know, one foot in front of the other very slowly. And I'm trying to bring that to my fight for dogs and cats and animals in general, and certainly for the foundation. And now I have to go. Thank you, Shannon.
I'll leave first.
Can
I just share an experience that I had just for everyone, that this is in regards to Resolution 30, which is about Yulin, that I was shocked. I live in Beverly Hills, that is District 33. I was shocked to find my representative. It took me 2 months to get a meeting with him. And he brushed me off several times that he wasn't interested in signing or supporting. But after 2 months, I finally got a meeting with him, and John and I went and met with him, Ted Lieu, and after about 20 minutes with videos and facts and things, he is now a co-sponsor. And so if you're not getting a response, continue. Like, I was a stalker. I mean, we're talking Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, like calling.
Every single person that we met with, as far as on the congressional end and all of their chief of staff, they said that Twitter has basically ruined lobbying, because every single person can have, I mean, Paul Ryan and Kevin McCarthy go through their Twitter. I mean, everybody goes through their Twitter. So that's kind of a way that we can directly connect. So the more we're tweeting at Speaker Ryan and GOP at GOP leader, the more that he's going to eventually see it. And so if he's getting 1,000 tweets and retweets every single day, then it's going to always be on the top of his mind. And so they really said, when I went to all of these meetings, I said, what's the most effective way to get this across? What can we do? And they said Twitter. I mean, every single person said Twitter is the key to a lot of things. So the more we can keep on tweeting at them, they're going to eventually see it.
Just don't give up.
Yeah, that's it.
2 months it took, but
We
got it. So.
Real fast this is what Kevin McCarthy told me, Kevin McCarthy. So, you know, like Shannon described, we were so lucky to go to Congress, and Shaun lined up this meeting that he literally took us all around to meet all the Republican congressmen. He introduced HR 1406. we know we're going to get it passed because we believe he is the one who's going to put it to the floor. But I want to say this to all the activists who are vocal. You know, I brought up in this meeting, I said, hey, do you know about HRS 30? And he didn't know much, but you know what he said? He said, is that the bill that, is that the resolution that people put on my Instagram and tag me in? And put these terrible pictures of these dogs being tortured on? And so I started laughing because I thought of all of you guys who do it. And so I just want to say that even though they might not see it, they do see it. So, yeah.
Quickly, we're going to take a question that has been a common one on our Facebook feed. And people are asking how can they help, number one, and how can they donate? What are the two easiest ways?
Is that for me?
Sure.
Our group is very different from most groups. I'm not really good at accepting things. Valerie's better at that. We do have a foundation page that you can donate at. Right now we're working on all types of projects. We're so set and spread. We're in Korea, we're in Cambodia, we're in China. We're really wherever they're torturing dogs. On this trip I'm going back to Indonesia, to Tomohon, where they burn dogs alive. A lot of our work now centers on the government, working in tandem with them, not against them. And so, we're preparing this huge shelter to be the centerpiece of the China movement against the dog meat trade that the Hunan government is accepting as their model of change. For China to even bring that to discussion, that we will use your shelter as the motto and figure stone to change it for our country. Yeah. That's a huge acknowledgement from Gigantic. And so, for people who want to support that, you can, by going to our website or whatever. But how people can get involved, share the stories. I take these trips and I document in real time what's happening. Jay Velez Mitchell is a friend of mine, and I was just with her, and she does this Facebook Live thing, and she said, hey Mark, why don't you go live in a slaughterhouse? And I said, I will. And so on this trip, I'm going undercover into a slaughterhouse, and I'm going to take people with me. I will go live, and you'll be able to see, what they do, how dark it is. And if that doesn't change your heart, I don't know what will. Supporting the resolutions, calling your congressman. I think the best way people can get involved is by understanding that we are more than what we think. Like I said, I'm just a regular guy. But the fact that I left my family, the fact that I continually torture myself, maybe people might not want to do that, but activism or being different and making change, we don't have to be told what to do. Do something.
Yeah.
Get involved and speak.
And also, StopYulinForever.org has just a background on the history and kind of the different petitions that you can get involved in on just if you want to sign the petition or hashtags, things like that as far as background history.
And real quick, there's also a, you can text resist, and you don't have to have a particular political affiliation. I'm a conservative. I don't know if you guys can tell, but you can text resist to 50409, and then it asks you a bunch of questions about where you live and your zip code, and you can actually write a letter. It will generate a letter and fax it. So sometimes the Congress shuts down the phone line, so you can't get through, or sometimes their aides don't read the text messages or their Twitter messages, but they get their faxes. So you text resist to 50409, and then it asks you what you want to write to your particular congressperson, and it will fill it out for you. It generates the letter, it'll sign it for you, and then it faxes it directly to their office. And that's really simple. So if you can't do anything, you can at least text, because some of you are going to be flipping through Instagram later, I know, liking stuff, so you can at least text that. So resist to 50409. Sorry.
I wanted to real quick just point out a couple things, how successful these guys have been so far. They're very humble. These guys are being very, very humble with you. First of all, when Mark points out about the shelter being a national model, it cannot be more huge. I mean, it is simply as huge as it gets. Like he's already had, since these guys have gotten involved, the work that they've been doing, He's mentioned some of it to you, but it kind of started out in 2014, in May of 2014, with the Yulin government and the city government issuing an internal edict to the employees of the government that this is not a government-sponsored event, and you're not to attend, and you're not to support it, and you're not to participate. And that's a huge thing. They shut down the live dog market. 2 dog slaughter operations were completely closed. He mentioned that just in passing to you, but again, this is so huge. You can't imagine. I mean, I spent a lot of time over there. 2015, they removed the tables from the outside premises of all the different restaurants where they're serving dog meat. They reduced the number of dog meat dishes that have been served. The Dongko market, they have fewer dog meat stands. These sound like simple things, but they are just huge steps in the right direction. And then in 2016, like Mark mentioned, they actually successfully got the government to put up roadblocks and checkpoints. Okay, they started a little late. I guess a number of trucks market kind of got through, but now they're doing it. And this year they're going to do it earlier. So he's having huge success with all the things he's doing. And the fact that you said you have like 250 different Chinese volunteers working with you as well in the process.
Yeah, we have a group called the Shenzhen Dog Protection Association. I mean, they have hundreds of volunteers that come in every weekend, and then there's we have 80 dogs still there.
So it's amazing. So I just wanted to close out the thing I was going to mention here is kind of the lawyer, the boring part of it, but very important, is that they have a PRC, People's Republic of China Anti-Cruelty to Animals Act that's been in draft form since 2009 and has not yet been passed, but it's still alive. It can still go through it at some point. In 2011, they passed a dog origin quarantine regulation, which requires one certification per 1 dog when shipped across provincial boundaries. These are the types of simple things in the law that can be enforced by folks who are volunteers on the ground, etc.
And quickly, that's actually what we use, and what I'm sure what you're going to use when you are stopping trucks, is that you get police involved, and then the penal code says 1 dog transported has a certificate of origin, and like we've said, 80% are stolen pets.
Right.
So then if you can, then it's kind of a give and take. If the police officers want to enforce it, then they'll confiscate the inventory, as they call it. But yeah, that's kind of, that was a huge thing.
Mentioned the anti-epidemic laws in the People's Republic of China, both at the national and the local level. These are, again, often what you find is that in the Yulin Festival, they're poisoning the dogs as well. Once they're poisoned, they cross against that law. So that law can be enforced because you're not allowed to bring poisoned food into the public for consumption. So it sounds like simple things. The food safety law of October 1st, 2015 basically says that it requires safe consumption for public health. It provides the sale of any type of meat has to be safe if it involves catering. There's licenses required by the People's Republic of China's FDA. There can be any toxins in the meat, all of these things. There's fines of up to 30 times the values of the goods, 5 to 15 days of detention, and that's just for the minor ones. If they find poison in the food, you could have life imprisonment in China. Don't forget, they are far harsher on punishment than we are. So just know there are ways right now in China to enforce these laws that these guys have been using very effectively. And so I don't want people to feel like something can't be done. As they're saying, one single person can completely change the world. Absolutely. So we just got to be smart about it and do what we can to back what they're doing and spread the word and continue the good work. And I just want to thank you guys for all that you do.
We're going to take a couple more questions here from the audience and then our digital audience. So
yes. First of all, I want to just thank you guys so much, Mark, you and John, and all of you guys, Aleksandra, thank you. And Mark, you know, we're with you with your tears and through the darkness, and we know that there's light at the end of this horrific tunnel, so thank you.
Yeah,
thank you for going and bearing witness to, and I don't know, I feel like a lot of us should go over there and help microchip these animals for you guys. But my question to you, and I also want to say that your touch move inspired me to go and rescue pigs. I have 5 pigs now. A mother and her babies, because Marcus and Anita, and they're not in my apartment, but I'm very close with them. But I have an animal that reflects how much I actually eat, which is fun. But well, my question to you guys is this. What about the religious leaders in these countries? I mean, I know that you had the monks helped with one of the rescues, and that was, you know, I mean, that was positive, and there was some stuff with the inoculations. But can these religious leaders, you know, can we reach out to them? I mean, there's Fuller Seminary, which is in Pasadena, and it's all these Asian ministers and people that are going to the school to go back to these different countries to lead these different ministries. And if they knew what was going on, I mean, is there a way that we can? I think it would be amazing for Mark, you and John, and you guys to go there and maybe have you know, consortium with these, with Fuller. But I mean, are they starting to come forward and talk about maybe the change, or have you guys
So
had
sorry,
any
just to
impact?
reiterate the question for people viewing, can religious leaders have a positive impact or work with you all?
Well, I want to say this, first of all, when it comes to the donation thing, there's other great groups here. I stand with my parents, Stop Moving Forever, and so, you know, I just want to mention that they are here at Dump Project, IDA, you know, and so it's not just me, and so for donations, they all probably need help and stuff like that. About religious leaders, I'm actually taking a trip to Tibet. China is so different where it's a communist government, and while they're very capitalist in function, it's different from our country. Religion matters, and you would think that being a large Buddhist country that animal rights is a big issue. It's not. The government tells me all the time, why don't you help people? And we do. And so like in my last meeting with them, they had said, why don't you help the children? And so we have this plan that we're going to start doing a scholarship and stuff, or just to be in the good grace of the Chinese government. But as far as religious leaders, that's actually a good idea. We have never really thought about reaching out to the top religious leaders, and I think we should.
Yeah.
I think part of this.
Let's go to Fuller. I mean, I saw the graduation, and it was everyone was Asian, and they were so excited. I mean, it was just amazing, and I think it'd be very impactful. So.
I think part of this is for people to come forward and say, and band together and say, hey, I can do that. I can reach out to some people, or, you know, it's always the research that's hard that I spend so much time doing. I wouldn't even know who to contact, but if people found out and said, hey, Mark, this guy, not like the Dalai Lama, just so you know, it's not that big in China. So correct, but like a Chinese political leader, and I'm sure if I had names and we could get it done with the help of people in the panel, and with help of you and so forth.
Okay, excellent. So we're going to take a couple more audience questions.
Yeah, hi, should I stand up?
Sure.
A few of my friends and I we really want to amp up our activism, and we want to join the front lines, we just don't know how. Going to China, you know, we've done enough of donating and posting on social media and telling our friends and trying to get people to be aware of this horrific culture and this festival that occurs. It haunts us every single day, moment to moment. How can we do this? How can we go there and we're safe and we're effective and we're powerful and we're joined and we're making some impact over there versus overseas?
So sorry to reiterate the question. How can activists go on the ground in China and make an impact?
I mean, I think personally, there are a lot of people that are there that are helping, and there are a lot of activists that are there. So maybe if you did want to do like a grassroots type of a thing, then you know, potentially
protesting or anything, education. Anything,
yeah, I mean, and again, I think the common denominator is education and setting up, you know, educational aspects. And so, if you wanted to maybe, I think Suki was a mutual friend of ours, and the more I've gotten, I've like 250 activists now that I talk to like daily, and so that I feel gives me a good connection to there, where I feel like I'm making a difference on the ground still without me being there. I don't necessarily, I mean, being, again, like I said, a white male, you know, it's not as effective, I think, for me necessarily being there unless it's about awareness or videoing it or filming it. But I do think that there's so much that can be done as far as reaching out to WeChat. Is something that they use there that you can start investigating around, and then getting a network there, you know, and then you can start talking with them and having open conversations as to what can I do to help educate. With our program, we send blankets, we send beds, we send flea medication. You know, they need a lot of help. So if you can just tap into one of those avenues, I think that's a good way here.
And I just want to add something. Our organization is always open to new members. So we have so much work, and there is so much work here on the ground in our country. So I think the most effective we are if we are, join forces here and have more, because we are also all volunteers in our organization. I spend 24 hours literally just working on different projects. I need help constantly. That's something that everybody can do, like give a little bit, and that's super effective. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry, you can also attend, protests here. And if you go to Dogs and Cats off the menu and you click on events, you can see we try to keep all the events, there's events all over the world, protests, vigils, and anything related to the dog meat trade. For example, on May 19th, there are protests all over the world, and there's one right here in Los Angeles at the Chinese consulate from 11 to 1. So you can go to that, and you can try to get people to come to that. If that's massive, maybe it'll get on the news, and maybe it's really hard to get into the mainstream media. You don't see hardly anything. So if we have giant protests, perhaps that will get China's attention. Perhaps it'll get into the news. Perhaps more people will become aware of it. And
I have a big mouth, so I'm just going to say this. So first of all, this is Nikki, and she is an activist. I see her at vigils all the time, and so she's on the ground constantly trying to make change here. Alex brings up a good point, is that there's so many dogs suffering here, and we need so much help locally, and that shouldn't be ignored. Why the dog meat trade is important is because of the torture.
Yeah.
And specifically what they're doing to the animals. If people want to get involved internationally, we are starting a program where you can come to our shelter. I rescue, literally in China now, I probably have like 500 dogs living at this place. I rescue dogs from slaughterhouses constantly. And so if you want to get involved and be on the ground, that is a way you can be involved. We have a little hotel on the place, and so it's free to stay there. And right now, the bathroom, you have to use the toilet in the ground. So we're trying to change that because, it's not really for me, but that's one way. Another way is being vocal, and like she said, they have a worldwide rally, which is on World Dog Day, and you can attend those types of things. It's very important. But also, just like Julie, she formed this internet group with other people, and they're so vocal that even I see them, and I'm not on social media like you think. I literally post, and then I actually have a job, and so I gotta learn. So but those are ways that we can get involved. But on the ground activism in Asia, in other countries, if you want to come, please do so, because the dogs need help.
Yeah.
And one thing you have to remember, I've noticed after the Yulin Festival is over, a lot of people just forget about it and move on with their lives. After the Yulin Festival is over, the slaughtering doesn't stop. So many dogs are being slaughtered, and cats. So the awareness needs to keep going. And why China is important to Korea and Vietnam and Cambodia, because there's migrant workers that go into each country, and they're bringing the dog meeting habit into each country. So let's say Korea bans it and all Koreans stop, but then you're going to have migrant workers from China and Vietnam that are coming in eating dogs. And, part of some of the slaughterhouses, even though the consumption is down among Koreans, they are exporting it to Southeast Asia. So this is why on a global level, it's important that we keep it up and keep being activists and keeping the awareness on social media and around.
Thank you. Excellent.
So,
I just have a quick follow-up question for the animal wellness.
Sure, and then we're gonna have to wrap it up, everyone, just because we're running out of time and.
Doesn't Animal for Wellness also have a program where people are traveling internationally, they can help transport the dogs?
So, correct. That's Hajir, by the way. We have so many programs, and so that's one of our programs where if you're coming back from Asia, Korea, or China, I mean, we have so many dogs internationally. They can travel with you, and it's a lot cheaper to do it that way. If we have to send them as cargo, it's very expensive, and so if you would like to, that's a way you can help too. And
that's a huge way that you can. I mean, it's the difference between each dog is about $2,000 if you do it in cargo, but if you have a travel companion, it's like $165. You know, so I mean, so it's just economic. It's not economically feasible for our organizations to be shipping dogs unless we have flight volunteers. So thank you. That's a huge thing. That's a huge way.
I just want to answer a quick question.
Dog and be vegan and not be a bystander.
We get a lot of people asking, there's so many dogs dying in the shelter here. Why are you bringing dogs to America? America is the land where refugees come to when they're at war and oppressed. I'm Asian, and so, you know, one day, a long time ago, I don't know, my ancestors came from someplace else. These dogs are victims. They're refugees. And in America, we are so lucky. You know, I wake up every day and I see the freedom that we're allowed and the gifts we're allowed, and these dogs deserve better. Shelter dogs matter too. Adoption is very important, like Ajir mentioned. And so we have to focus on our own country, but these dogs are so important. Each dog that comes to America spreads a message and they become ambassadors. When you're walking down the street, I have a dog that has no legs. And so when she's walking down the street with me, people ask, what happened to her? And I say, in a Cambodian slaughterhouse, they cut off her legs to eat it in a soup because they believe that heals you after surgery or when you're sick. And so it's a topic, and it's a way to spread awareness. Before we end, if anybody has solutions, that's what we're looking for, or ideas, you should voice your idea, because like Fia mentioned, I never thought about approaching a religious leader, but we should. So
any solutions or insights? Okay, go ahead.
I think that what we could all do, and it would really be a leap, is to raise this to the next level, is to take it out of the 3D and push it into the spiritual level. Because Nikola Tesla, if you're familiar with quantum physics, yes, everything is energy, vibration, and frequency. And as long as we're hanging out in the frequency of us against them, and maybe they'll sign it, and maybe Congress will do something, then it's not an immediate, solid, in-the-bag solution. But if we push it beyond the 3D, and call it whatever you will, I call it the light for the highest good of all concerned. And if each one of us will hold the thought that this is done, there is something in matrix energetics that says done. And all you have to do is think that thought. There is something that came out of Germany maybe 100 years ago called the Schumann resonance, related to the grid on the planet. Every single thought goes into that grid. And if we can put the positive thoughts of the light for the highest good of all concerned, because in my opinion, I think these dogs are light ambassadors. I don't see them as canines. I mean, that's the form they're occupying. But they are ambassadors, I think, of a higher consciousness. And we have to meet them at that level. I think their suffering is at one position. It's at this 3D level. But beyond and behind the suffering at the 3D level, I believe 100% in my heart, they know. And that's why they're willing to go through what to us looks like a Holocaust. And it is a Holocaust. And so my invitation to everyone here is if we would take 1 minute, 1 second a day and just hold the thought of higher consciousness for these dogs, then every bill will be signed, Congress will do what we want, and we'll wrap it up. It doesn't have to go on and on and on. You know,
Well, I think it also takes action, though. I believe that. I think positive thinking is a great thing, but also as someone who really enjoys starting cultural fires, that's what I like to do. I believe that it's important that you go to town halls, and that, you know, there's a lot of things to talk about right now in politics, but if you go to a town hall, one of the things that you should bring up is bills that they're trying to pass, where your congressperson stands, whether it's Republican or Democrat, and also what they're going to do to help stop this horrible atrocity with the Yulin Festival. I think that's very, very important that we hold these people accountable, because once they're on record, then they're stuck there, and that can be used against them in further political campaigns. I don't mind doing that as a person who, I know a lot of people up here like to play nice. I don't. I really enjoy on social media. I have about 19 million followers on social media, and I can post anything about gun laws, where I stand. I'm a gun owner, but I also believe in very strict Second Amendment laws. I'm openly gay. I know, big surprise. And I'm also very anti-Trump. And the one thing that gets, I know, big surprise. But the one thing that gets everybody going is when I talk about being a vegan. That's the one thing that everyone gets so offended about. The one thing, and I think it's because of guilt. I think it's because they know it's wrong, and it's not what Shaun was saying earlier, that it's not just, it is, the Dog Meat Festival is so horrible because there are pets, there are loved ones there. In the old days, witches had them, they were called familiars, you know, because they knew you, they had this intuition with you. Now what we have is we've become so connected to them, but we're so distant from livestock. Right, we're so distant from that. I mean, my family owns an animal rescue in Austin, Texas. We have 60 acres of land. We had, at our highest rate, we had 47 animals that we rescued from slaughterhouses, and 14 of them were cattle. And as much as I love animals, I never thought that a cow could love, until I saw our big mama cow, whose name is Ruby. She stands over her 8-year-old son, who is a massive bull, bigger than a car. And she gives him a bath every single day. She licks him to sleep every single day in the sun, and she doesn't do that to any other. It's not like a thing like she likes to go around licking bulls. She does it just for her son. She still remembers that's her baby, and that for me was eye-opening. As an animal lover, as an animal rights activist, I'm a moral vegan. I didn't give up meat because I didn't like the taste of it. I gave up meat because of the way that they suffer. There are people who say, "Oh, you think you're better than us because you stopped eating animals because animals suffer," and I'm like, "Yeah, I do. I think I am." I do. I believe I am, because you know, if you've never borne witness to suffering, I excuse you from that. But once you are aware of it, you have no excuse. You're not allowed to have any sort of opinion based on what I do or what anybody on this panel does to fight for the rights of sentient beings to have a normal, beautiful life, right? This life is too short for that. So I invite everybody to attend a town hall to make sure, and to, again, text resist to 50409. It's so easy. It writes it for you, and you can. It doesn't have to be about anything else other than you can bring up your animal rights, things that you care about. Send those letters, and it'll send them to your senators and to your congressmen.
Should we stop at
So I have to say this comment. I have to say this comment.
Send it.
So in regards to what the woman in green with the red hair.
You interrupt. You are a great interrupter.
So I applaud what you have to say, but as a Judaic Christian born with the American values, I believe that God created all the animals and that people are to tend and care for them. So whether we are on different sides of energy or Christian or whatever it is, they are to be cared for and nurtured. So we're all in uniform on that. And
Well, I am also a Judaic,
I think we all need to, think about that.
Well, I'm an agnostic.
That doesn't matter.
Science person, so I believe that. But I think we're all on the same team when it comes to making sure that we take care of animals.
Absolutely.
Here.
And I do have a question for Mark.
So let's stay focused though, too. We all are.
Yes.
Well, and again, the destination is to stop this.
So,
that's the destination.
Yeah, so I'm here. I have never heard of this before, but I'm here from a woman who's in the Hall of Fame of scuba diving, right? Which is probably not your normal group. But But her awareness of scuba diving photography, she's an author, she's well known in her group of people interested in the ocean and the seas and the animals. She brought this to my attention about our terrestrial animals, pets, cats, dogs, and everything. And I really applaud this. There was something, and I've really been listening, because this is the first time I've been involved. Mark said something that I just want some clarification on. The Yulin Festival is a festival for the community, the citizens that promote it, and the government can't stop it. But you mentioned there's a couple of ways in the government to stop it. I need some clarification there. Maybe I misunderstood, because this is very new to me.
The dog meat trade is different from the Yulin Dog Meat Festival. The festival is kind of like Thanksgiving, where we kill millions of turkeys. In China, it's pretty overt, and it's a recent tradition that started in 2010. They torture the dogs. It was really done out in the open, and that's where all the kind of like international pressure came from. The dog meat trade is different, so there's a difference between the festival and the actual trade itself. To end the dog meat festival, it's really only the governor of the Guangxi province or the central China as itself could end it. By telling those people, don't do it or you'll be arrested. Other than that, the dog meat trade has to be banned by the central government. However, an autonomous region, like the Hunan province, can push dog meat out of its borders. It's not a law, because the law is centralized to where, it has to pass through the Chinese government itself. And they, just so you know, they actually had some kind of, thing come up about it, and it didn't pass. So, yeah.
And so will the HR 30 that she's proposing, will that have an impact on both of those, the citizens festival and the governmental? Or?
HR 30 is, like Julie said, it's kind of like the opinion of our governments expressing something that they disapprove of. If HR 30 passes, if your question is, will the Yulin Dog Meat Festival stop? No, it will not.
Will it have any impact on our government promoting the Olympics in South Korea, which is supposed to be an ally?
I believe Hastings is trying to introduce an international dog meat kind of resolution to put pressure on all the countries. Will it stop the Korean Olympics from occurring in Korea?
No, it won't stop the Olympics.
No.
We can bring light to it. I don't know. I mean, I can't go travel, but I would like to, after this day here today, somehow be able to help at home.
Yeah, I just want to say this, because we're running out of time. If people do have solutions, any one of us here, you can voice it to, because really, that's what we're looking for. In our own brains, we can only think as best as we can, but if you do have solutions, that's what today is about. Also, if you'd like to get involved, like Alex says, their group always accepts people, and we are expanding. Animal Hope and Wellness is pushing to go global. We are going to be opening new chapters. So if you are an activist inside a city that wants to lobby against a dog meat trade, we are very, very eager and interested in opening up locations. I was thinking about New Jersey as one, New York as another. We already have Animal Hope and Wellness Germany, Animal Hope and Wellness China. We're going to do Animal Hope and Wellness Korea, but activists who are watching live from other states, if you want to get involved and you want to have your own Animal Hope and Wellness, the foundation is everyone's, and so we are looking to open up at this moment, and that's another way you can get involved. Like I said, we have hundreds and soon to be maybe thousands of dogs that were rescued from slaughterhouses that have been tortured in meat homes, and so.
And I'm sorry, I know a lot of people have questions, and I'm sorry I haven't gotten to everyone and other insights. Please share them with us. We've run out of time, unfortunately. But I would like to thank all of our panelists for being here, and thank each and every one of you for being here, and the people that are watching.
I just want to say this. A lot of people see what I do, and I go undercover and I show these videos of these dogs being hung and tortured. My journey towards veganism took a while, and while I'm ashamed to say that, it starts from somewhere. Mine started through dogs, and one day I woke up and I said, I eat other animals, but I rescue dogs. And now that doesn't make sense to me anymore. And I just urge you to open your heart and to realize that everything living wants to live. A cow who has baby calf, they don't want to take it away. I have 2 children. If someone took them away from me, I might try to kill them. And so always try to think about those type of things. Stand when you're supposed to sit, and speak out when people want you to be silent, and resist. So.
Resist.